Like,
The best one.
hopefully you're all having fun.
All right,
Oh,
now
we're
that we're
recording now.
recording, we cannot do any more dad jokes.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. Carasoft Technology would like to welcome you to our ServiceNow Public Sector Tech Talk, Reimagining Government Service Delivery, the Transformative Power of AI-Driven CRM for State and Local Government. Before we get started, I would like to quickly go over a few housekeeping items. Please note that all lines have been muted to reduce any kind of background noise during the presentation. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, please use the Q&A feature on the bottom of your screen, and we will do our best to answer by the end of the presentation or follow up with you offline. This webinar is being recorded and a copy will be emailed to you. Just to tell you a little bit about Carasoft, we are a trusted government IT solutions provider supporting public sector organizations across federal, state, and local government agencies, including education and healthcare markets. At this time, I'd like to hand the floor over to our speakers. Tanya, the floor is all yours.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Welcome, everyone. Really appreciate you joining us this afternoon, not morning anymore. If you're coming from the West Coast, it is morning, so good morning to
Right.
you. But I'm Tanya Brovin. I'm an AI specialist here at ServiceNow, covering state and local government. Really excited to be here and speaking with you today. Phil and Alex are also here. Phil, you want to give a quick intro?
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Phil Calzadilla. I lead the CRM and industry team for the U.S. state, local, and education vertical, and I'm very happy to be here.
And
Alex?
Alex.
Hey,
Everybody, I'm Alex Altos. I've been at ServiceNow almost a decade, not quite, but I lead up our public sector CRM and AI solution consulting team here.
Awesome. Thank you both. All right, so we have a packed agenda for you today. Phil, go to the next slide just for a
Oh,
second.
sure.
So, what we're going to be covering in this next hour is first, we're going to review just quickly our AI maturity index. Then, we're going to have a quick poll to understand who's in the room, what is your experience with AI today, what value have you been getting from it up until this point. And we are also going to be speaking around what ServiceNow is doing in the AI space, some success stories that we've seen from state and local government. And then we're going to get into the really cool stuff with Alex showing us some demos, and then we'll open it up to Q&A. For questions, Alex just put it in the chat as well, but please feel free to just write in whatever's on your mind, any questions that come up. We are happy to answer throughout the webinar as well, but we will try very, very hard to just keep the last 10, 15 minutes open so that we can have a more Q&A sort of discussion. So that's the plan for today. And let's get into the maturity index. So this is a QR code that will take you to a survey that leads to our maturity index study. Don't take this now because we're actually going to have a quick poll of it. We took out some questions we're going to give you in just a minute, but just so you have some background on what this is, ServiceNow partnered with Oxford over the last several years to get a better understanding of where leaders are today, and not leaders, just anyone really. Where are enterprises today within their AI journey? How mature are they? Where are they really finding value when implementing AI? This study goes very, very deep. We interviewed hundreds of executives for this across the entire globe, across every industry, including government. So after you take the survey, after the webinar, you also get access to the report itself. It is fascinating. I highly recommend that you read it and just get an understanding of where are folks really finding value today? Where are people not finding value and having some trouble really getting to that piece of taking advantage of all this new tech. So being aware of all these things also helps you fill those gaps.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Phil. Oh,
I was
yes.
just going to add, we're going to try to keep it conversational today. So you might see me interrupting Tanya, us kind of talking together or asking each other questions. But regarding that study, it's 4,500 executives were asked across 16 countries and 11 industries. So it was really thorough study that's been done.
Yes, thank you, Phil. And I did forget to mention that. So we are absolutely going to try to keep it a lot more conversational and get that more of a podcast flow going. Give us your feedback at the end if this is more interesting in this kind of format than the usual just presenter format. We would love to hear from you.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. So they should have the survey right now, should have popped up. Did everybody get it? All right, good. I know I got it. I moved it
I
off the
got it.
top.
Did,
I
Phil, but it
see it.
won't let me take it as a
Yeah,
panelist.
it says host and panelists can't vote, which is good.
I feel a little
We
hurt,
don't
but
want to
that's
skew the
okay.
vote.
That's okay.
We want to hear from you all. Yeah. Because that way we can speak a little more directly to maybe what you're seeing out there and make it more conversational. That'll really help us on the conversation portion. So let us know. Sarah, will you tell us when we have
We'll
attendees
give you
all?
a minute or two, but
Yeah.
also if there's other things on your mind outside of the survey in terms of your AI adoption, what's been working, please feel free to use the chat. We'll also look at that so that we can incorporate that into the conversation as well.
Yep. All right.
All right, we have 8 questions, so it shouldn't take that long, but we'll give you another 10, 15 seconds.
Okay. Tell me when we're ready. I feel like we should have some like music. What is
Right.
the Oh, here we go.
Oh, excellent.
We got the survey results. All right, let's go. So
All right, so how about we first get into this, Phil,
yeah.
into where we see government from our experience in the last few years, and then we can incorporate the survey. This is great.
Yeah. Yeah, I really appreciate everybody taking the time to take the survey. It's great. So look, I don't need to tell all of you what you're experiencing right now, but I'm sure what I've heard from clients, and this is where I take my data from, is right now everyone's being required to do more with less, right? Budgets aren't really going up there, and the requirements on states and local governments to do more with less is just never ending. And then not only do you have that to contend with, but at the same time, you also have technical debt. You've got quite a bit of software out there. I was just talking to a client recently that is running over 700 different applications. And in those applications, they've got, access databases and older systems out there that they would love to bring into one platform and consolidate and rationalize those applications because they're trying to simplify and you're trying to compete basically with the Amazon experience that a lot of your constituents are having, where they, go online, order something quickly, get it the next day, right? And so that's the expectation on one end. And, we're really saddled, mostly I'm hearing from my government clients is, multiple systems, not connected, having to do things on spreadsheets and email, having to do the best you can on a lot of swivel chairing, as well as with, a great deal of technical debt. So, because of that, we're seeing this growth in AI spend and people coming in trying to put it all together with AI and using a platform to help drive that. And that's one of the things that we're talking about. Tanya, what are you seeing from your perspective on?
No, that's exactly right. So the platform approach is really what is winning right now. What we see a ton is because there are so many like sidecar AI, we call it, and actually the industry calls it, where every single application is also offering up some sort of chatbot, some sort of AI add-on. There is just so much out there, but to really get to that value and to make sure that the AI that you're embracing is bringing efficiencies to your organization, to your employees, to your constituents, you need that to be embedded in all of your enterprise applications and embedded into your workflows, right? So that is massive to actually bring AI into the flow of work, into the workspaces that your employees and your constituents are already using. That's really what's going to get to that massive efficiency gain for your employees, for your constituents, for really any organization within the enterprise space. So that's a lot of what we're seeing today is where are you going to be putting AI in and how are you going to integrate it into the rest of your organization?
Well, I think we can even see some of that based on some of the survey results that came in too. Out of everybody who's joined this webinar, only one person out of everybody, only one person said that their C-suite was not involved in AI transformation. And I'd say there was quite a few in that strongly agree category, and majority is in that somewhat agree category. But if we think about it, the C-suite doesn't necessarily get involved in everything out there. And the fact that overwhelmingly, if we look at the results out there, 80% or more of everybody who took the survey right now has their C-suite involved in AI initiatives. And that's just indicative of what we're talking about here with Phil and Tanya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You look at some of the questions. So, do we operate under a shared AI vision? About 80% of the people somewhat agree or strongly agreed to that. Do they have a designated AI leader? About 84% agreed to that. Do we measure AI? We had about 60, 70,
So
80,
that's a
83.
really tough one. The
Yeah,
AI performance, I'm seeing over and over again. It is incredibly difficult to measure, hey, how much has like an AI chatbot improved efficiency?
right.
How has this improved customer satisfaction? Like those things are really difficult to measure. So what we see does help quite a bit is if you anchor on like the top three use cases, right? Where you really have the most place to have those gains. And then you figure out, okay, how much time is it taking me today? How much time am I able to save with an AI assistive technology or with an AI agent technology that can take over entire workflows and try to calculate value that way? But to have initially just an idea of how do I even approach measuring this is a really critical first step to making sure that it is successful and you can actually show that success to leadership who then can say, okay, this is actually worthwhile.
Yeah. One interesting thing I see is the right mix of talent and skills to execute our AI strategy. We had quite a few people that were neutral or above to that, meaning, they somewhat agreed or strongly agreed to that. More than half, so 60, 70, about 84% of the folks, which is really great because that's a problem area that I typically see is in training. And we can talk more about that later on as well. But 67% of the folks on this call are running Gen AI POCs right now, POCs, which is great. Um, and then Gen AI applications in production, about 67% have that as well. And good adoption in Gen AI applications, about 60-40 on that for yes. So really good. I think overall, if you compare that, let's go to the next slide so you'll see kind of where everybody else was. No shortage of AI use cases, right? So 50% of organizations had some type of AI use case that they're setting up, 55%. So you're actually higher on this call, which I believe because this is government and you're trying to figure out how do I do more with less, right? And AI and Gen AI is definitely a way to do that.
Yeah.
Um,
And one piece that I'm seeing here with the missed opportunities for impact being at really 30% of organizations are actually integrating into the workflows.
yeah.
I'm very curious with this audience and feel free to respond in the chat. If your Gen AI applications, are they chatbots that answer questions, or are they applications that are connected through the workflow and you actually act on requests and can complete those requests? So from request to fulfillment. And that's really, I'm asking this question because selfishly, ServiceNow is exactly in that space, right? So
Yeah.
we are very much focused on making sure you have AI integrated into the entire workflow so that you can get that additional efficiency throughout the requester to the fulfiller. Phil, we have some thoughts on there too.
No, I was gonna say we'll talk about that too, right, over the next time. But one thing that's sticking out here is that AI is scaling 33% says skills aren't. I know a lot of folks out there said you felt pretty good about, the ability to scale. I just wanted to mention too, because I've talked to a few states with this where we will partner with our clients, state, county, city, local, higher ed education in general, we'll work with our clients directly to create custom training programs to help your people use our platform and learn to use the platform with AI, with ServiceNow, and help create a program for your people that adjust based on what they're doing, right? So, if you're a client of ours, we definitely have that available to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into what is
Well,
service. Oh, go ahead,
I was
Alex.
going to say, like, one more thing that I just wanted to call out in this because I thought it was very interesting looking at the survey results from everybody on the call here is that over 2/3 of everybody on this call is running a POC. About 2/3 of the people of this call already have a production Gen AI app that people are using out there. And over 2/3 of those who are using it are getting strong adoption with those Gen AI apps. So it's majority of the people are all adopting AI. And I think the craziest one that I saw in this is every single person who has joined this call has designated an AI leader inside of their agency or their department. And that is crazy to me that even if we asked that same question 3 years ago, the answer might have been less than 10%. And now it is literally every single person on this call has designated an AI leader to define the strategy moving forward.
And that's amazing because it is such an incredible technology that deserves that much attention to have somebody designated for that role to make sure that you are using it in the best possible way and in a responsible way across the organization. So that really is critical and totally makes sense, but it's awesome to see. All right, so let's take a look at what ServiceNow is doing in the AI space. And we talked a little bit about our focus on workflows and how that's evolved. So I'm going to take you through what that looked like over the last 20 years briefly. I'm not going to spend a long time on that. And then we'll hone into our different AI capabilities. So that's both conversational workflows, AI, well, it's actually everything here, but we'll focus in on Gen AI, which is conversational, and AI agents, which is this agentic workflows. And then we'll get into demos. So for the last 20 years, our entire reason for being was to automate workflows. That is really the bread and butter and the heart and soul of ServiceNow. We are trying to create efficiencies and make work just easier for everyone by automating end-to-end workflows. 20 years ago, we did that with the technology of the time, which was rule-based types of technology like scripted workflows, flow engines, right? All of these types of integrations to actually make automations, but with a very rigid sort of rule-based approach. That was the tech back then. And that is how we went into automating workflows, right? Fast forward a little bit, maybe 10 years, we got machine learning models, right? This is traditional machine learning. This is where you have recommendations engines, search engines. These are the predictive types of workflows where you get, oh, next best action. Oh, this data could probably benefit from the following. So it's all of these, not rule-based, predictive models that are, again, integrated into our workflows to help automate. Now, conversational workflows, which is phase 3, is really where we got this like Gen AI boom and where ChatGPT came into the picture. And again, we saw this technology from a consumer lens, right? ChatGPT came out and said, wow, you can have this incredible conversational experience with ChatGPT. Let's bring that into an enterprise setting so that you can have the same kind of approach and do that with your workflows within the enterprise. So we have Gen AI baked into our platform for self-service, for fulfillment workflows, like really end-to-end requester to fulfiller. We have Gen AI features, and I'll talk about that in a second. And what really is creating these exponential efficiencies now is AI agents, right? That is the new tech from the last year. And it's incredible what this can do. This can really take on an entire task, an entire workflow, and give you this digital workforce to automate a workflow completely end to end. And this is powered by these reasoning models that came out recently within the AI space, right? They can actually take in a problem and reason and figure out, how do I solve this? And then deploy different AI agents to have like a complete workflow and do it end to end. So what we're doing within ServiceNow is incorporating all of this incredible technology into our platform, into our workflows to enhance these efficiencies and give that to you and make the experience so much better for everyone. So what we're going to do now is figure out, hey, how does ServiceNow do this? What makes us different in the space? Because there is, again, AI is coming from every single vendor. We're very, very aware of that. So what puts us in a very unique place here, and Phil, you can go to the next slide, but our ability to combine data, AI, and automation all under one platform is very unique to ServiceNow. So I'll start with data because that's where everything begins, right? You can't really do anything if you don't have the relevant context, relevant information to feed into the AI to then complete the workflows.
Yep.
So what we've done with the data piece is create a workflow data fabric that gives you complete visibility into obviously all of your ServiceNow data, but also we have complete visibility into external data, all enterprise data through connectors into any application. We also have zero copy data integration that can, again, get the information from any data source and bring that in without having to actually copy that data in. So that is very, very powerful. And what that gives us is this visibility and this understanding, this context of what is going on in your organization. So we can then feed that into our AI agents and make sure that they are acting with all of the needed information to complete the end-to-end workflows. And this automation piece is good for any workflow, for any IT workflow, HR workflow, CRM workflow, right? This is truly anywhere in your business. We are able to then take those AI agents and complete the workflow. So having this combination of the right data with the AI tools and the workflow automation is incredibly powerful. And you need all three to really get success here.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you end up with a chatbot that can't actually act. And that's a big problem.
Oh, absolutely. And from a CRM perspective, I would just add that all of this is available both to the agent on the agent side, and then we can actually share with the constituents or, whoever it is trying to work a case or, they have a problem they're trying to solve or they're trying to get something, some service, whatever it may be. We can share on their side as well what you want to share with them so that they can actually see the status of their case. So they're not calling in for a status every day or multiple times or trying to figure out, where is this? Am I actually getting service? Is this being worked on? All this becomes part of the platform that's available both externally to constituents and internally on the CRM side. It's very, very powerful. And we'll talk a little bit more about what we're seeing, how states are using, states, and I should say state, local, and education are using the platform with AI today. We'll do that in the next few slides too. Anything else you want to add here?
So one thing that I forgot to mention is this AI piece. Yes, we absolutely have our own Gen AI models, our own AI agents that are coming out of the box, but we can work with any other provider as well. So if you've already invested in a large language model that you're working with, that you're partnered with, you have your own LLM, whatever that might be, you can actually bring that into the platform and complete your end-to-end workflows with our
Yeah,
platform as well.
just once again, from a CRM perspective. So if you have an agent and you want them to use a certain model that you've already trained and set up, it's within your firewall, you've got it, it's got all the policy, everything's built right for it, then we can make sure that that agent is always using that particular model for the types of questions that are coming in that are being asked. If it's a different model, you might have multiple models and multiple AI agents. We can literally act like a control tower. That's what we call it on our side of, which AI agent am I going to and which one is by policy, especially with government. Because look, we all know that AI is different in government, right? You have to, there's the level of trust that, for a constituent to trust the data they're getting back from their government or their education or, state and local government. It's really important. And you have a higher standard to meet than I think even in the commercial enterprise space.
Well, and adding on what Phil's saying there too is I always like drawing to attention when we're talking with our state customers out there that there are absolutely some things that you should run with what we call traditional AI. Because there are things that should almost be scripted and almost always go to specific determinations as per policy. There are other things that we can do with generative AI to take that onus off of the agents and off of the humans that are less mission critical. And that way we can really have a blended model on the same platform to make sure that we are really doing exactly the right thing in those situations that we don't want generative involved in. And we can allow generative to really unlock some workhorse power with agentic and generative for those things that we can really interact with.
Yeah. And the last thing I just want to add on this is this foundation of data, AI, and automation, the way we do it, we're not ripping and replacing what you have already in place, right? We can literally lay over all the different databases you have, all the different systems you have, and work with them and just very quickly modernize and give you the ability to provide services, constituent services faster, right? And I know within government, we talk about mission ROI. It's not about margin ROI like in private sector, right? You really care about things like reducing wait times, right? Improving benefits delivery, making sure that you don't have fraud, you don't have error rates, and especially now with the big beautiful bill, HR1, whatever you want to call it, it's got some real problems if there's error rates on the other side, especially within Medicaid. Improving disaster response. These are all the areas that really matter, and this is why our platform really allows you to deliver at that level using data, AI, and automation.
Yeah, that's exactly right. All right. So Alex put a very, very good point forward where you really don't need the most advanced type of AI for every problem. You truly don't. You need to figure out which use case it is applicable for. So what I'm going to walk you through is where we use generative AI, where we use AI agents, and we're also going to show you, or Alex is going to show you some demos of what those look like. So here we're talking about generative AI. Okay, this is more of that assistive technology where it generates content to help somebody serve themselves or to help a fulfiller fulfill a request. And those are really the two main ways that we differentiate how our assistive AI is working. From the self-service perspective, let's say you have a constituent asking a question, they're trying to figure out some information. We have a virtual agent that is powered by our large language model to make it that ChatGPT conversational kind of interface that can get them information that they're looking for. It is connected to your knowledge base. It also gives back sources of where they got different information from. So that chatbot experience is available within ServiceNow. We also have an AI search, and that is very similar to like a Google search, right? If you're going to ask a question, it's going to then think a little bit and give you back a summarized answer, again, with sources so you can actually fact check and make sure that what you got is, you know where it's coming from, right? That's the entire idea. So we have a very similar kind of technology that, again, is connected to your knowledge base, is getting information from all of your internal systems and giving that back to the end user. That's the self-service piece. If that end user still hasn't gotten the question that they are looking for and they need to open up a case, then it goes into a live agent. And that live agent will then get a case open. They can then see a summarized chat of everything that has happened thus far, right? So they're not going to be asking any of the same questions to the requester. They can pick up exactly where they left off. There are also many, many Gen AI features within the workspace for the fulfiller. So things like case summarization, things like chat summarization that I just mentioned, knowledge-based article generation. So when you have a new type of case and you want to create a new knowledge-based article, you can automatically generate that so that the next time you have this kind of case, it is much easier to get that self-service or to help the next fulfiller actually complete that request much, much quicker. We also have a resolution note generator, which is really useful when you're dealing with thousands of requests coming in. You don't want to type out every time that you are that you are completing a request. So by actually doing that right away, you can save that work. So instead of writing out done, you actually get that entire resolution note created for you. So a lot of these types of generative skills are available within the workspace. Okay, AI agents. So these are a whole different, well, not different. They are an enhanced kind of technology that create this end-to-end workflow completely automated. So it is a lot better than chatbots in the way of actually taking action. So a lot more than just giving back a response like you get in generative AI. These AI agents can complete the task. So we have triage agents, we have password reset agents, We have over 100 of these out-of-the-box AI agents to date, and by the end of the year, we're going to have thousands. So it is a very powerful new kind of technology that Alex will show you in just a bit. Okay. I'm looking at the time and I'm trying to figure out if we want to get into, I think I'll touch on this briefly and then we're going to get into Alex's demo. So we talked about calculating value, right, earlier on in the session. And that is a very difficult thing to do. And it's a question that I get from every single customer. So I wanted to just briefly show you how we think about value and give you an example of an end-to-end flow, and then we will get into the demo. So the way that we think about value when it comes to ServiceNow is how much is a cost to serve, right? We have this certain amount of time that we spend on any sort of process, and we have a certain amount of money that we spend on the technology to make that process happen. When we add in AI, our entire vision is to decrease the overall amount that it takes to serve. And when we're doing that, we are optimizing for certain outcomes. That is going to be customer experience, it's going to be employee experience, it's going to be availability and reliability of service. And that is really the entire idea, right? So we want it to be a lower cost to serve when we are infusing AI into our products, into our systems. So let's take a look at what that could look like with an end-to-end flow. Phil, go to the next, perfect. And then we'll jump into the demo. So here we have an IT incident process. And the way that we break it down is really all the different parts of the job that needs to get completed for this to be a resolved incident. So first you have the self-service piece. It's the pre-incident. It's going to be the AI search, it's going to be virtual agent. Then you need to actually triage the thing, right? Like figure out how am I going to be solving for this? There might be some transfers between agents. There might be some resolution notes that need to get summarized. So every single part of this can be enhanced by either generative AI or an AI agent. And we've broken down which parts different types of AI can really add into. And our goal here is to decrease the amount of time that it takes for every single part of this to get done, so the overall process with AI will just take a lot less time and will be a much better experience for that end user and for the fulfiller as well. So overall, just better experience for everyone. All right, I'm going to pause here. Go ahead, Phil. Yep.
If I could just add, like, and I'm going to tell more around the story. Like, we have a client that is specifically a state client that's looking to do exactly what we're talking about here when it comes to customer service case management. So, state of Arizona is one that's serving 2.2 million constituents. They have over 100,000 medical doctors in their Medicaid. That's Access, Arizona Healthcare Cost Containment Service. And three of the things they're looking to do, one of them is knowledge base, right? So being able to take knowledge, not just their current knowledge base and feed that to AI so they can use it there, but also creating knowledge articles out of the cases that are, high impact cases that are repetitive that they're running into, and doing that there as well. Also along this case on the triage, they have a thing called agent assist, right? Where an agent's on the phone, it'll literally tell the agent the next best step based on what it's hearing and what's going on within the case, and help the agent to figure out what's the next best step for us to do. And then at the end of it, and Tanya talked about this, but I like to bring it right back to CRM and right back to what state and local governments are doing. It will summarize the case. Now, I've heard from many directors of agencies that sometimes case summarization is one or two sentences, and sometimes, the term was used Moby Dick. Like it's a lot of data and a lot of information. And so you'll get a lot more consistency in your case summarization when you have AI summarizing that case. Agents can still go in and edit the case. They can still go in and make changes to it. But this is exactly how clients are using this today. Out of the box, you can do this. It's not future stuff. Do you want me to fly to
The success stories, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Let's do that.
I think we
So I
talked
just
through a
talked about
few.
Arizona.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just talked about it. I wasn't sure if we were going to have time to cover that
I
because we
think we
really do
can.
want to show you the demos.
Exactly. Me too. Me too. So let's fly through this. Maybe we go to how ServiceNow has used AI. I'll spend 30 seconds on that, even less, and
Sure.
then go into the demo.
Oh,
Okay.
this one. There you go.
Yeah. Awesome. So I wanted to just briefly show this because this still blows my mind every time I look at it. But over the last, I can't do math, but from 2017, we have grown from 6,000 to 26,000 employees, right? That's really what that green line is showing. But our support staff has stayed the same. So our DT, that's our like IT support, our HR support, that has really not grown too much, even though we've grown to 26,000 employees, even more at this point from six. And what that is showing is that with the use of AI, they were able to be so much more efficient and actually serve this many employees without it deteriorating from our experience at all. That is the power of AI. And that's really incredible for me to see and what everyone can replicate all in
And
there.
and I would add that the satisfaction level is high, right? But I don't know
Yeah,
why we should have charted that too, because for me as an employee, self-service is so much faster for me to get something done. And you see the automations go when you're working through and trying to get something completed.
right.
Um, it's great. Alex, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say something. I think our CEO has been pretty prominent on websites. If we could go back to that slide for a second, just
Oh,
talking
sure.
about how, we've scaled and we've never laid anybody off. We repurpose people for more value added opportunities here. So if you look at this, when we had 6,000 employees in 2017, we had 39 people in our IT team or our DT team helping out everybody. At 26,000 employees, we have nine less people on our DT team helping exponentially more people. It is just crazy that we have nine less people and are able to scale up to 26,500 individuals of support. I just wanted to just draw that correlation there for anyone who didn't see it. But I
Yeah.
think that's
Sounds
now on to me,
time
I
for demo, Alex.
believe.
Yes.
So as we switch screens over here to mine, Phil, can you just give me a heads up when you can see my screen here?
We see it. We see it.
All righty. So I've got three little vignettes that I'm going to be walking through here today about across a couple different divisions of our state and local government. But the first one I wanted to showcase is Maria from a benefits eligibility specialist standpoint. And if we think about this from the moment that somebody reaches out asking about benefits or anything else, we're already starting to have a spider web of people involved as we check policies, as we start looking into different pieces of information. But even before that case gets to our support agents or our benefits specialists out there, we already have agentic AI leaning in and doing things like case triage and document verification, even before it gets assigned to an individual. It's also able to identify any exceptions to that process and route those to the right people, even back to the constituents to make sure that they have the proper things identified, captured, and applied for as they go through the process. And directly in our benefits specialist workspace here, you'll notice a couple different pieces. But the first one on that I'd really like to draw your attention to is on the right-hand side, we have an action summary. That's a Gen AI activated action summary of all of today's priorities, cases, things that are going on out there. So you can see that there's some social benefits cases that have been raised for unemployment for Dante Tucci. Those have a very high priority. There's some TANF benefits for Daedra out there. And it's just allowing our benefits specialists to have easy access to the things that they need to be focused on based on the priorities of our organizations. And as we drill into one of those social benefits cases for Dante, for example, and take a look at this, number one on the left-hand side, you can see we're already doing that case summary. So Dante is a single father, one dependent. What have we done already? What are we looking to do? But beyond that, Now Assist has actually generated an action plan to get started on this application for unemployment benefits. So as we go through that and take a look at the plan that we've got, this is even before it was generated and assigned to our social benefits agent out there. It actually went through case triage, and as part of that case triage process, it's identified a couple different things that we need to do. We got to finish verifying those documents. We got to verify that dependent relationship. We got to provide child care resources out there. And our agent is just able to say, hey, begin that plan. And through our agent orchestrator, it'll actually call in our document verification agent to read into the documents that Dante provided in that application, whether it's his severance letter, whether it's his driver's license, whatever else he needs. And the AI, using what is traditionally called OCR or optical character recognition, inside of ServiceNow, we call it document intelligence, is able to read into those, use generative AI on those, and verify those documents out there to see if they would need to be flagged for anything to look at. So the documents were not flagged from anything from Gen AI, but it's still asking the human, do you want to mark them as verified? The human has every option to look at these as they see fit as well. We always want that human in the loop. But the agent says, yes, we're going to verify those. And then it comes back and says, are you ready to do step 2 in our plan and verifying that dependent relationship? Our agent says, yes, let's verify it. It calls in yet another agentic agent built on ServiceNow, our dependent support agent. And that can even reach out between agencies to verify information and be able to go ahead and say, yes, we've verified with child services that Dante is this father. And then the agent actually asks, would you be able to share any information on childcare institutions closest to the applicant that we're looking for? Because we've got these agents built, we're able to go out and read into these different childcare institutions, even be able to see ratings on those, distance from our applicant, everything else, and tell the agent to go ahead and add that Claremont Daytree Child Care Center to the case, which it automatically adds to that process there. And so throughout this entire process, you can see that AI is kind of embedded doing the verification, doing the summarization, doing the document reading, doing the recommendations that we have out there. And it becomes more or less a holistic process across everything that we're doing. Now, I'm going to switch over to another vignette here quickly that I'm sure nobody in public sector has ever dealt with, and that's our open records request or our Freedom of Information Act requests out there. And if we think about how these AI agents can be used in this process, as those information request cases, those Freedom of Information Act requests come in, those open record requests come in, we create our case on that. We call in our agent orchestrator and we start the process. And so even as we get into that, our AI or agent orchestrator, which just calls in our different agents on the platform, our agentic bots, is going through ID verification, case triage again. And as we go through that process, our agent out there can actually say, hey, assign this to me, it'll do it. And we can actually ask the bot questions like, is this request exempt from FOIA? And if it's a request from FOIA, the Freedom of Information Act, it's actually calling in yet a third bot, our policy check agent. And the policy check agent is able to identify in that request that it doesn't appear to be subject to any of the 9 exemptions outlined by Congress out there. And again, it asks the agent, the human, can you confirm that there are no exemptions on this? I want that human in the loop. So yes, we're confirming there's no exemptions. So we're going to move that forward. We can also ask it to check for similar requests to related documents out there. It'll call in our 4th agent, our request comparison agent out there, and bubble up any relevant documents that are similar to the request that has come in. And as we talk about this, we can ask it to link these different books that we've got associated with it, these different projects or documents that we've got out there, and it'll link that back to the case. And then we can do things like calculate the fees associated with this. It'll call in our fee handling agent and say, based on 2 hours of work, for one person, this would be $85. But because the person who requested this is actually a student, they're exempt from these fees. So the total should be 0 on this. So it kind of understands how our fees work and who's exempt from them and everything else. We confirm that fee estimation and move on. And some of the more cool parts about this to me personally is we can also ask it to, hey, go ahead out there, search some of these documents for any witness testimonies by Lieutenant Fred Ringwald. And it'll go through, it'll find our documents for us. And as we take a look and review that document, we can actually take that document and say, hey, can you please find and redact any variations of Agent Smith? And the AI is able to read into that document, pick up Agent Harold Smith, H. Smith, Agent Smith, all of those different variations of that name, be able to identify them and then apply redactions to those names inside of that document. And then last but not least, it's going to actually take those and call in our last bot and send it over to legal and compliance over there to start that process for compliance review. So just another example of how we're using AI and our agent assist bots or our agentic bots to be able to help handle these processes. And the last one, which I'll fly through
Before you
quick.
get into that, I wanted to just call out one thing because I do think it's so important. So in the demo that was just completed by Alex, there were a lot of moments where the human actually had to approve what the AI agent was suggesting. And that is so, so important because there are going to be use cases where you need human approval. You need to have a human on the loop to actually make sure that, yes, this is the right path forward. And then there are going to be some use cases that can be completely autonomous and are very, very low risk of getting anything wrong. So you have complete control over where you have a human on the loop within that interaction and where you want just the AI to do all of it for you. So that is completely in your hands. It is very, very easy to configure and make sure that you do have the right kind of oversight where it is important to have. All right,
No,
Alex, back to you.
no, it's a valid point, and I completely agree with you. And even on the point of doing document verification, we have the full ability to set confidence thresholds into the AI and everything else, where if the AI is less than 99.9% confident, bubble it to a person, and we can mandate that that happens. So it's a very prescriptive path that we bring to AI on platform because we understand how critical this is for our customers to get right. And so the last one that I really wanted to show is just a quick highlight in regards to Medicaid redetermination, and in particular HR1. So as we have our constituent out there, our constituent can actually get notified on their cell via text, via mobile app, via however we want to send that out there, that they need to go ahead and go through eligibility redetermination. And so they can log into their portals. Of course, this is all mobile friendly as well. We definitely understand that. I believe the actual number is something like 63% of people in the United States don't have access to a physical computer. So yes, we make everything mobile responsive as well, so we can do this all via cell phone. But William's able to log into the portal, see his Medicaid, his TANF, his SNAP benefits out there, and all the details around them. And then we're able to have conversations with Now Assist. And Now Assist can pop up and say, hey, we noticed that you've got a employment verification pending out there. Can I assist you in completing this task? William says yes. And the bot says, hey, did you work or volunteer a minimum of 80 hours this month? To which William responds, yes, I did. At the French Toast House. The bot says, great. As per the required documentation in HHS here, can you please upload your pay stub from your employer? To which William then goes ahead and uploads his pay stub. And as part of that process, you'll notice at the bottom of the screen that verification scan has started. And throughout that process, the verification scans actually identified a change in the employer, which doesn't necessarily, remove eligibility from William, but it does flag it that we need to rerun determination on that to make sure he is still eligible to receive benefits. So it gives William a link to be able to track that case that's going on and kicks it over back to one of our benefits eligibility specialists, Marie. And Marie, very similar to the last one, has a purpose-built dashboard, action summaries by AI. What should we be focusing on? You can see William Tucci's right there in high due to the criteria that we've set that designates where he should focus based on the AI. And as we get into this, we can actually drill into the case, see the exception as an employment mismatch. A previous employer was Flapjack House, the new employer is French Toast House. And as we look at this as Marie, the benefits eligibility specialist, we're taking a look at the documents. Nothing necessarily seems wrong with the documents that have been provided. So we're going to go ahead and ask this bot, like, hey, why has this been flagged for an exception? Can you tell me what's going on here? And the bot is able to read into those exceptions and say, hey, this is flagged due to a mismatch in employment. However, this doesn't automatically disqualify William. We need to rerun and revalidate eligibility per the policies to make sure he continues his status out there. Would you like me to do that? Marie says, yep, go ahead, let's run that. And so as we read through that, the bot says, yes, we've validated the wages, we've validated it's a valid employer out there, we're all good. We've removed that flag from the exception. You can go ahead and move forward. And throughout that process, then we can just continue with our playbooks and make sure we're communicating the right way. We can choose our notices that we're generating and sending out there. And
Can I
then,
just jump in real quick there? I just want to make sure
yeah,
that everybody understands that what happened there within the AI is it dipped into this thing we have is called policy as code engine. And so and basically it's prompting, right? You're prompting through, hey, if they work 80 hours, then they're eligible. If, there's certain things that you have to meet criteria wise. I've talked to people at Medicaid conferences and they've talked about how difficult it is for them to change policy within their current systems because they need a COBOL programmer or something else like that. Within our system, you change that code, you have a full audit trail of who ran against that code, ran against that policy, what the policy impacts are going to be towards all your constituents. You can run that all at once. And these are little things that like we talk about them, but I want to make sure that we emphasize them because a lot of times we don't realize how difficult of a burden that is on many of our clients. And this is something that we solve very, very quickly. Sorry, Alex, back to you.
No, it's a great point. And even not just, our policy as code engine where we can use natural language all the way up to full code to write our policies on there, but to test our policies against actual records in the system, see the results of them, and make sure that our policies and our changes to our policies are actually spitting out the results that we expect them to do from our policy engine.
Because we know government policy never changes,
Oh,
right?
it never changes. Never. Yeah,
Yes.
definitely not hourly. But as we go back to William, he gets another text saying, "Hey, we've got it. You're approved. Your Medicaid benefits are approved. You still get on SNAP. All of these things. And your next step, you're going to have to do this again October 31st. So just be ready for that." But the last step of this is actually for Sasha, the commissioner out there. And as a commissioner out there, she is running all these programs. She's got SNAP, she's got child welfare, she's got Medicaid, she's got TANF under her across multiple different counties. And she's got her own dashboard out there that's embedded with AI to be able to see everything that's going on and make sense of it. And not only are we just providing the visuals, which are easy to understand, but should you not want to, you can actually interact with the AI on platform as Sasha does and says, "Hey, can you go ahead and create me some talking points for the state of health and human services? I've got a meeting with the governor coming up." And the AI is actually able to read into that data and identify a bunch of successes across SNAP programs, across Medicaid programs that despite their high volumes, we've saved X amount this month. What are the risks associated with it, as well as some recommendations in order to improve some of the metrics on here. So the result at the end of the day is we have a ton of information at our fingertips that we're able to directly affect through our AI and understand through our AI without having to spend hours and hours in BI tools or pivot tables or anything else. And that's all enabled by the ServiceNow AI that we have on platform. So that's just three quick examples here. I know, Tanya, you wanted 10 or 15 minutes. I ate a little bit into that for Q&A at the end of it, but I'll
Awesome.
stop sharing and let you retake over the screen.
Oh, that's perfect. Thank you so much, Alex. Those were mind-blowing. I love seeing it every time. Incredible. All right. So, folks, any questions you have, please put it into the Q&A, or you can put it into the chat, or you can send it to me directly, whatever you're more comfortable with. But we are all ears. We're happy to answer questions. All right. I see one question coming in. Phil, help me answer this one.
Sure.
So, the question that I'm seeing is, hey, how do we start? Right? Like they see all this incredible stuff. How do we start? So I absolutely hear this all the time, and I am happy to take an initial stab and then please fill in any blanks.
Yeah, go for it.
Um, so the way that I see most folks get started, and I know a lot of this group already has quite a bit in POCs and productions, but it really is just depending on how comfortable you are with different levels of autonomy. So most of the customers that I work with start with generative when they're looking into this, like this new kind of AI space. They're starting with, hey, let's add in some generative features with fulfillers, right? Let's help the fulfillers actually complete these cases quicker and get that better service for the constituents, better service for the employees through that sort of like internal kind of implementation of AI. And then from there, they open it up to the requesters. So that can be constituents, that can be employees, but the ones that are actually asking questions, then they enable a virtual agent, they enable AI search. They make that broad, like more broadly available for all these folks that are requesting different services. And then once they're comfortable with the generative features, then they get into the more autonomous AI agents that can complete more of that end-to-end task. So that's usually how I see that crawl, walk, run approach in those three steps. Alex, happy to hear what you've been seeing as well.
Yeah, I was just going to add there. I agree with everything that you're saying, but I'd also say if you're genuinely curious about this, you want insight on this, you want hand holding on this or guidance, just reach out to our teams. We literally have people just dedicated to help and answer questions and deep dive on AI and go through processes with you and help identify like low-hanging fruit, as I call it, for where you're going to start getting like some extreme value back on your investment into this. So
Yeah.
I'd say don't ever hesitate to reach out to us. We'll bring the right people to the table. We're committed to doing so. And frankly, we've got vested stake in you being successful, as everyone on our team is a resident of the states that we serve. So we really want that to be successful as well.
Uh, Absolutely. And I agree with Alex that really the best place to start is going to be different for everybody based on where they're at. Some of them may just be getting your data straightened out and making sure that you're getting all the data into the system and you've got good data that's going into AI. Your knowledge articles are right. And knowledge seems to be a place, and I think you were hinting that, Tanya, that people start. Um, and if you've got a contact center and we're already in there, another great place to start, especially from a CRM perspective, is that case summarization, right? Because it's a relatively um, low lift with an ability to really make a big impact. Because imagine every agent, how many phone calls the agents get, how many cases are they summarizing, and how much time are they spending on it? So, I think the thing we had up said it was about 20% of their time per call was spent on that. So if you give them 20% time per call, multiply the number of calls, that's a lot. Um, the other one is agent assist, right? What's the next best step? These are great low lift spots for us to come in and start working with you. But really, it depends on what you're trying to accomplish. And remember that the platform we're talking about, we refer to it as public sector digital services, which, I can't go on record saying I don't like that name, but I really call it government service delivery because that's really what this is about. It's about how do you deliver services to all your constituents, internal, external, partners, businesses, whatever they may be. And, we can help you track that, deliver that, audit it, the whole nine yards, and make sure that you have consistency on that.
So there is a chat that another question that just came in as well that said, how good or reliable are these tools at interpreting documents? Have you had to change submission requirements to improve the AI interpretation performance? And I think with almost everything, you're always tweaking. Like if we're being honest, you're always tweaking things, just refining, refining, refining. That being said, our document intelligence has been in platform for quite a few years at this point. We've refined it quite a bit, and we've even refined it and still continue to refine it to even interpret large scale documents, which I'm talking 20, 30 pages or more at once in a single submission and being able to rip data off of that. So the short answer to that question is very good, and we continue to get better every single day.
And that's also a technology that has been around for several years now, and it had enough time to get very good. So that is one of those areas that's a great place to start because it is a very advanced technology at this point.
Well, and it almost harkens back to the ServiceNow story of how we started, right? Where Fred Luddy had somebody with a desk full of paperwork that she had to go through and process all of that paper. And by the time she got done, they put in a whole nother pile of paperwork. Like almost goes back to where we started. Like this is all stuff that we've been doing for years, and we'd be happy to dig in and chat with anybody on the call about where we can help you.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you see us doing acquisitions, especially in the AI space, know that we're not just bolting on any acquisition. When we acquire a company, we literally rewrite the code for that company's software into our platform so that it's native to the platform. It's not, it's not a bolt on like you see from many other products out there, and it's all integrated, works as one platform. And when you buy our platform, you're getting all those things are available. You just need to turn them on, right? And that's where we work together to make sure that it's set up correctly for you.
All right, fabulous. So I know we're at time. Everyone, thank you so, so much for joining us. Please reach out with any questions if you'd like to have a further conversation. We will also follow up with you to make sure that we've answered everything. And if you'd like to have a deeper conversation, we will absolutely be more than happy to do that. Thanks all. Thanks,
Absolutely.
Alex.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Phil.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Karen.
everybody.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
appreciate it. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today.
I'd
Bye
like to
all.
thank all of our participants as well as our speakers for being with us today. We hope the information you received during this webinar has been helpful. If you have any further questions or you would like to request more information, please feel free to reach out. Thank you again and have a great day.
Thanks all.